Non-duality or Advaita means not two. Not two means not many, but only one. Why not use the term one or oneness? The reason is the many is still there, but only apparently so. In reality, there is only one. To help us understand what is exactly meant by non-duality, let's analyze the simple case of I see an apple. If the world is regarded as physically real, I see an apple would mean I as a body sees an apple as another thing. In other words, there are two entities, the body and the apple, separate and independent of each other. This is duality. As such, a physical reality model of the cosmos is inherently dualistic. It can never be non-dualistic. On the other hand, a consciousness-based model would interpret I see an apple very differently. There are no body or apple as two separate independent entities. There is a seeing in which both the body and the apple appear together as part of the seeing. The seeing, which includes the body and the apple, is an appearance in consciousness. Thus, there is really only one. It is very similar to dreaming as a person looking at an apple. There are no body or apple as two physically real entities. There is only the seeing, in which both the body and the apple appear together as part of the seeing. There appears to be two, but in reality there is only one, an appearance in consciousness, in which the seeing arises. This is non-duality. All our other senses work in the same way. Thus, we can extend this simple case of seeing an apple to perceiving the entire world or universe. Non-duality would then mean there is no body or world as separate, independent, physically real entities. There is only the perceiving, in which the body and the world are both included in the perceiving. It is an appearance, moment to moment, in consciousness. In other words, a consciousness-based model of the cosmos is inherently non-dualistic. Non-dualistic spiritual experience are often described in terms of love, in particular as pure or unconditional love. What is love in non-duality? To help us understand that, let's analyze how the expression I love you is interpreted in non-duality. The ego or the personality in its essence and origin is simply the thought I am this body. The concept of the ego has been discussed in greater detail in Chapter 7, Spiritual Concepts. As the body undergoes more and more experiences, the ego will grow. It can be conceived of as an interconnected web of thoughts, ideas, beliefs, fears, desires, emotions, memories, and so on. But just as the body is not physically real, the ego too is not a real entity. It is illusory. When the ego is totally dissolved, there will be no I or the first person. When there is no first person, there will be no second person. That is, there will be no you. Thus, in the non-dualistic interpretation, the statement I love you would then mean there is no I, there is no you. There is only love. Love is then an appearance in consciousness, similar to the appearance of the cosmos in consciousness. The latter is associated with the senses, while the former is associated with thoughts or emotions. Complete experience of non-duality is very rare. It can only be experienced when the ego is completely destroyed. However, even some degree of dissolution of the ego can bring about a dramatic and drastic change in one's life. Thus, many may have mistaken their spiritual experience as that of total enlightenment. Ramana Maharshi, the great Indian sage of the last century, used to ask this question to some people who visited him: "Are you in the world, or is the world in you?" The ego would answer the former. He views the world dualistically as physically real. The firmness with which this belief is held correlates directly with the strength of the ego. The stronger the ego, the firmer the belief. So long as the ego is not totally destroyed, this belief that the world is physically real will still be there. The egoless or the sage, on the other hand, will answer the latter. His view of the world is non-dualistic, in which the world, including his body, is merely an appearance in consciousness, moment to moment. Non-duality is not a concept or idea to be understood. It is a reality to be realized and experienced. To such a one who has fully realized it, the waking world is no different from the dreaming world, except that it is longer. To such a one, non-duality is experienced through and through in all aspects of his life. There is no I, there is no you, only love remains.